Hey ladies, it's been a hot minute since I've been on here and been live to check in with everybody. Um, and definitely want to do that. How are you doing? How's it going for you? I know that a lot of us, at least where I live, it's the time of the year when everything seems to be coming up brand new, and the thought and the idea that something new is coming along is exciting. Winter is hopefully coming to an end sometime soon, and spring is on the horizon, even though it's officially already started. But I wanted to come on here. There's like so many things that I want to talk to you guys about. But one thing I really wanted to talk to you about, um, two things. Let's see if I remember the second one. I tell you, this perimenopause brain, I don't know. Sometimes I usually make notes for myself, but I just came on down to just kind of have a chat with you. Hey, Miss Ash. So I wanted to share with you um, somewhat a little bit of helping you understand my journey in my self discovery, figuring out who I am, what I want, those types of things, and where I need to be, where I want to be. So a couple weekends ago, a couple weeks ago, holy cats, can't speak. I was in a situation where there were lots of people in a group, and and I definitely felt that I had some strong feelings in my body. Let's just be, I wasn't getting sick. I wasn't having any of those feelings, but I definitely felt something in my body, some type of energy saying something feels, something's up. And I will tell you, I've spent so much of my life rushing. I used to say the soundtrack of my life was by Alabama. I rush and rush until life's no fun. That used to be my soundtrack. And I have been really working on making sure that that's no longer my soundtrack, that I am purposely being still, having moments of stillness in my life, and also figuring out, I forget that iPhones do that when you're live, figuring out those things. So because I used to add more things to my plate, I think that a lot of that was because I didn't want to feel and I didn't want to deal. And so now what I've realized, I have to, in order to heal it, I have to feel it. And so when I was in this situation, it took me off guard. I was definitely around people that I trusted and that I cared for. There were people that I didn't know too, but I was in an environment structurally that I had been in before, and I had never had this feeling before. But I definitely felt something inside me that was saying, like, alarm bells going off. Um, and so I remember sitting with that, and I almost, if it would have been a situation that I probably could have left, I probably would have left. But it was not socially appropriate for me to leave in the middle of the discussion that was going on. And so here's what you might say, well, why didn't you get up and leave? But it was just not socially appropriate. So, and that's also learning something, that we can do hard things, that we can survive without taking on other people's feelings, taking on other people's energy, those types of things. And so I made it through, and I definitely had some thoughts and feelings and some deep thoughts about figuring out why was that happening to me. Like I said, I wasn't sick or anything like that, but it definitely felt like in the pit of my stomach that something was amiss. And so then I had a situation where I was in another environment, a different environment, people that I knew and I cared about and I trusted, again, with other people that were new too. And I felt some of the same thing. And so I started to ask myself, is it because there's certain people here that I'm not feeling safe with? Things like that. And here's what I would say is that a lot of times in my previous experiences, I would have actually, and I forgot to tell you, in both of those situations, I chose not to speak up. I chose not to add to the conversation very much. I did a little bit. And previously, I would have, if I would have started to feel that even, I would have started talking more. And my old adage was that if I started talking more, that meant that I was trying to make other people feel comfortable. And through the work that I've done on myself, I've realized that that was actually the opposite of what I was doing. When I was talking and adding things, and here's what I would do is I'd end up talking because I felt this uncomfortable feeling, and I had taught it to myself that I was helping other people feel comfortable. What it really was down deep, it was that, you know what, I was not comfortable with being uncomfortable. I was not comfortable with the silence. And so that was something that I started to intentionally work on for the last probably two, maybe close to 3 years. And I will tell you, even some of that happened after losing Gracie. I could feel other people's uncomfortableness, and it's nothing that this is not on them or anyone else to feel bad about. It was something that I had to deal with and something I had to figure out on my own. But that's what I figured out, is that I was uncomfortable with feeling uncomfortable. So I would talk, I would add to the conversation, maybe even probably too much. Maybe some of you out there were, kind of perturbed with me and were like, all right, cut it off. I don't know, things like that. But here's what I found out is that no one died. Nobody said, Nick, what the heck, right? There were a few people that definitely noticed. Those people that I maybe talked a lot with. And here's the other thing that, and I'm not going to feel shame about it because I had to forgive myself because I didn't know any better. I ended up sharing things that I shouldn't have shared. I shared things about people or myself mostly, or my marriage, my family, things like that. Things because I was running out of things to talk about. And so then the untouchable things became like, well, I ran out of material, so now I got to go to the next thing. And so that's what started to happen, is I was starting to see some of those people kind of get a little uncomfortable, like, hey, this is usually where I get my stuff from. I get some interesting, juicy stuff about you, and maybe they didn't realize that, and maybe they did, right? Here nor there. But I realized that I was not having the utmost integrity for myself. And so when this happened to me a couple weeks ago, I will tell you, it actually kind of frightened me a little bit. I didn't know. It almost felt like, there was some bad mojo or something like that. And I didn't say anything to anybody. I just kept it to myself, thinking sometimes those old habits die hard, right? Thinking that it was something I had done wrong. And so recently I called a friend and I said, okay, you were there. What did it feel like for you? Did you feel any of this mojo that was going on? Did you feel any of this uncomfortableness? Did you notice anything different? Actually, I asked that person, hey, are you okay? Were you going through something? Because I was definitely feeling something. And through that discussion with that good friend, with the help of her understanding and, going through some deductive reasoning, I talk about it in the way of an addiction, and I never mean it to take away from someone that has dealt with true addiction. People in my family, lots of people in my family, people that I care about, people that I know, friends, family. It's nothing, not trying to take away, but I'm just telling you, people pleasing is truly an addiction. Feeling like you always have to be the fixer, and it's not that anybody else ever told me that I had to be, but that feeling, or that need to please, that feeling that I'm supposed to make it okay for everybody else, it is very hard to break that. And so I have really been working on trying to break that cycle for specifically the last year and a half. And so when I called this friend, right? When I called this friend, we talked it through, and yeah, there were some things that were going on with her, but it wasn't, I don't really think I definitely probably was picking up on some of that, but more so had to do with me. And so when I talked to that friend, they said, you know what? I think it's part of the addiction. It's that your body is having such a different response in that you were choosing not to, do the drug. You were choosing not to fall back into such that addictive behavior, that it was having almost that withdrawal feeling, but also that because I was making a conscious decision to say no, I could tell someone else was having a difficult time, and I wanted to swoop in and help them and save them and fix them, right? But I was holding back, and at both situations. But I think the first situation, it was such a big emotion and such a big overwhelming energy that was coming through. I mean, like I said, it took my breath away several times. And I can honestly say I've never had a situation like that. But I share it because um, I think so much in our culture, we think that we've done all the work and we're going to get this to this end point, and then it's all going to be good. And even as someone like myself that's, got clinical training as a psychologist and things like that, it still is, we still can be awe-smacked and shown that you may know all the things, but that doesn't mean that we always know all the things, what to do in our own lives. So, and I didn't, after, thinking through that and having that realization and trusting someone to, would you help me walk through this and learn through this and learn how to be comfortable in my own skin. Um, I got off the phone and I just sat there in awe. And I was so proud of myself that I knew that I was purposely, because that person said, I noticed that you didn't say anything during that conversation. And that's usually what you do. And she said it in a good way. She's like, I know that you usually have so much to share and you have good things to add. But um, I was really proud of myself that I sat in the uncomfortableness and I showed myself that I can survive. That, there's other things that can still give me that good feeling and that sense of accomplishment, and that I was able to wade through the deep water and I was able to come out on the other side. And it may sound like such a small, small thing. But, the saying about it's often never something that's really big, right? When people say that they maybe are having a midlife crisis or they are getting a divorce or whatever it is, some, major thing that's happening in their life, it doesn't usually just seem to be this big thing. It's the culmination of all the little things. And so it really showed me that all the little things that I've been doing, whether it's in the morning and sitting with myself in the stillness and making sure that I meditate in the morning, because I feel like I do better every day if I start off not worrying about other people and putting myself first, getting myself grounded in where I want to be and feeling good in my own skin. Number two, doing some exercise, even though I don't really necessarily always want to do it. I know that I feel better on the other side. So, and journaling more, even though I often say that's not something that I really want to do. But it's amazing when I set pen to paper after that friend and I had that conversation. I ended up writing, 6 or 7 pages about the feeling that I felt, and no longer just pushing it down and saying, and poo-pooing it, but really feeling it and understanding what that feeling meant. That for really the first time in my life, I'm allowing myself to truly feel something. And think about if you've ever had a scab and that scab comes off early, and so that skin is so tender and maybe it gets nicked or pricked or whatever, and it kind of feels so sharp. And I think that's kind of what this is that we don't go put the band-aid back on it, right? It has to get toughened up. And that's what I feel this experience was for me. Um, so I just wanted to share it with you guys and share it in the way that It's not always the big things, but also trust your gut. If your body is sending off alarm bells, stop what you're doing, sit down, close your eyes for a few minutes if you can, not if you're driving, but get to some place where you can and really just take stock. What does it feel like? Where is it coming from in your body? Those types of things. I know people call this a lot of woo-woo, but I will tell you, I have made leaps and bounds in my healing, not only my physical body, but my soul in these last couple of years where I've really tried to hone in on that and let them call it woo-woo. They're missing out. They're missing out because it's amazing when we finally love our body. That was something else that I realized the other day, that for so long I had been dogging on my body. I would look at it in the mirror and I would say something bad about it and say, oh my gosh, my friends, some of my friends, they're this size or whatever, or I wish I could wear that, or I wish I could look like that, or, these stretch marks left over from having those babies, or stretch marks from maybe gaining weight, I don't know. Someone else doesn't have to wear glasses anymore. I'm wearing my hearing aid. All these things that we beat up ourselves on and just torture our body, torture our mind. And I came to the realization a while back that, what? It stops here. I'm not doing that anymore. You know why? Because this body has not betrayed me. In all the scares of, different medical things, it has stayed the course, and it has not, has not given up on me yet. And so many times we take it for granted, or even these wrinkles, I'm still going to use my wrinkle cream and things like that. But growing old is for the lucky, and I know that more than anybody else. Because one of the most beloved people that I love in this world is not here. And so I just had that moment of realization that I'm not going to take it for granted anymore. I'm going to tell it how much I love it. I love those stretch marks. You know why? Because it gave me two beautiful babies. And I've heard people say that before, but I was not in a place of understanding. I was not in a place of being able to love myself. And so maybe that helps you today. Maybe it helps you to see that you are beautiful. With your ponytail up on your head, that your glasses have smudges on them, you maybe haven't brushed your teeth since yesterday, last night, whatever it is. Find that piece of joy that you're yourself, your body. Maybe it's, if you can't start with your body, I think of Mel Robbins she has the one where she tells you to talk into the mirror and give yourself a high five and tell yourself that you love yourself. What do you have to lose? I mean, do you want to be left in a prison that you hate it for the rest of your life? There's a lot of people that have a lot of other things, and so people could choose to hate you. Why do you choose to hate yourself? And so I was asking myself that too. Why have I done that? I gotta let go of that, I'm never going to be perfect, and if we were perfect, it'd be a pretty sad and boring life. So those were the deep thoughts on this Thursday for you. I have lots of other things that I'd like to talk to you guys about, but I know I shouldn't keep you on here for too much longer. Everybody has other things going on, but sometimes you just need this time to snuggle in with a friend and talk about some of those feelings that you're having. So thanks for joining me if you joined me today. The other thing is there are just some really cool things happening, and it just goes to show, sometimes, I think I've said it to many of you before, when we think we're in control, God shows us and reminds us that we're not and gives us His grace. And I've just stepped back and really tried to be mindful and just let it flow instead of being that people pleaser, high functioning codependent where I have to make sure everything's perfect and things like that. And I'm telling you, I have found so much joy in the freedom of not knowing. I'm not going to say that I still don't love my planner and things like that, but I I love not necessarily knowing what tonight is all about, not knowing, figuring out what I'm going to make for supper, if I'm going to make supper, whatever that is. Um, there's just so much freedom in that. So, and I have embraced the freedom. And by doing that, God has graced me with some beautiful things that are coming up, you guys. They're, um, my coach that I have been with for the last several months, Nicole Mortensen. She is Morrison. I said it wrong. She is rallied several of us women to start something that's called the Founders Table, and found her, like HERS table, where everyone's welcome. Let me pull up the seat for you. I'm so excited to be mentoring with other women, and not thinking that my heart center, I know I do a lot of things with my heart, and not thinking that that is my weakness, but that is my greatest strength. And that, you know what, we aren't weak to say we need help from someone else, or let's do this with other people, because I have known on this journey recently that I knew that I didn't want to do it alone, the coaching and things like that. And so God showed me the way, and Nicole asked, and I said yes. And there's just some really cool things that are coming. And I know there's so many other women out there that are looking for a place where they maybe want to take it to the next level. They want to do some work on themselves. They want to do some work on their business, or whatever they're doing right now, and they don't know where to look or to find those people that are their people. And I'm here to tell you, you guys, that's what we're building. And it is, I will tell you, there was like this moment, the smallest moment, which tells me I'm growing so much as well. The smallest moment that came and thought at first, really? She wants me to be on the team? Like, well, I don't know that I've like done like really great things. And in the next moment, I came in and said, yes, she wants you. There's so much that you can offer. Other people have other things to bring, but there's something that other people don't have that you have. And that's why you're needed at this table. So, so just trust in him, whether you trust in God, you trust in the universe, trust in yourself, that, because as I've said it before, no one's coming to save you. It's up to you. He's walking alongside us with this, but you have to make the choice to say, I choose me. I choose me. So I hope this found you well. I hope that you find some light in your life today, and know that I'm shining my light to you wherever you may be and however you may be. So I love you, and until the next time, we'll see you soon.